Division of Employment Security, that address helps the state identify claimants, properly assign federal wages, and detect potential fraud. With no permanent address, Wyatt says she gave a P.O. box, which she now knows the state doesn't allow.
Fred, is that axis of heavy rain is now kind of shifted to the east of Charlotte. It's pretty much right along Interstate 95 as you go into southeastern North Carolina, southeastern South Carolina and eastern North Carolina. That band has actually been the one that I've been watching closely this afternoon because that's been an area where we've had some rotation and actually a couple tornado warnings embedded within that line. Let me zoom into the area seeing the worst rain right now. Basically from Monroe out towards Wadesboro and then Rockingham, you could see that heavy rain then extends down into Chesterfield County. You see the flood warning down there in Darlington and Florence counties, which is down in South Carolina. That's also the area that we've seen some tornado warnings. Now back in Charlotte, the rain is let up. Now the rain's not going to completely come to an end, but what's going to happen here over the next couple of hours is we're actually going to see the rain be more scattered. We still have some light to occasionally moderate and a couple embedded areas of heavier rain moving up through the Unifor region. Now this is an area that has seen a ton of rain this summer and we don't need additional rainfall in those areas. But as I widen this out, you can see we still got this what we refer to as a dry slot to the south of us where there's actually some breaks in the shower activity, but it is beginning to fill back in slowly but surely. But this band right here, look at this, flash flood warnings in effect for Kershaw, Lee, Richland, and Sumter counties. That is dumping a lot of rain, 3 to 4 inches of rain per hour. Then back to the west, you see this line of showers developing in areas of the Midlands of South Carolina. And as I widen this out, what I expect to happen is this axis of moisture is going to swing back in here tonight, and that's going to provide additional rainfall probably through the evening hours, but nothing too heavy. I'm going to put the visible image on, and it's kind of hard to tell where the remnant circulation is with Sally, but it appears to be down here somewhere in Georgia, believe it or not. Even though the rain is up here, the remnant might be down in this area right here where there isn't a lot of moisture. Now the backside is showing up pretty clearly there in parts of Tennessee, and that's going to be pushing off to the east. And until it gets through here, we're going to see that threat for rain for a while. So here's the hour-by-hour forecast. Notice the highest rain chances here over the next several hours, but then the rain chances start to go down slowly but surely through the evening hours. And the flood watch is still up through tomorrow morning, but we will likely see some of this whittled away or even canceled completely. And probably the best news all day has been that severe weather threat has been eroded and kind of shifted off to the east. The two counties we're watching are Richmond County and Chesterfield County. Those areas are still in that area of medium risk for additional severe weather, possibly even an isolated tornado. The flood threat still high technically, but that's going to wane pretty quickly here. And as we go into the weekend, drier weather is going to move through. Here's our future cast. You can see the scattered showers sticking around, but by the time we wake up tomorrow morning, we're likely going to see just isolated showers and eventually start to see maybe some sunshine break out on Friday as that cold front begins to shift off to the east. And then we're going to be turning our attention to some cooler weather. So good news right now, Fred, is that we're seeing this system move about 6 hours quicker than it did yesterday at this time.
Good.
So that means we've not only getting it out quicker, but that reduces the amount of rain. If we had 6 more hours of that heavy rain we had today, that would have really piled up. Our totals are probably going to be more in the 1 to 3 inch range as opposed to the 3 to 5 inch range.
All right, good to know. We'll check back in with you in a moment here. Now I want to get out to our Chris Mulcahy. He is in our Chevy Storm Tracker. Chris, first of all, tell us where you are and how does it look out there where you are?
Hey, thanks a lot, Fred. So we decided to head east because we're hitting that dry slot within the storm. This often happens as those storms are continuing their way off towards the east. They lose the energy, but sometimes that energy can be taken away, and that's exactly what we're seeing off towards the east. So we're right around Monroe. We're continuing our eastbound adventure, heading down to the southeast, right here on 74. We've seen a lot of on and off moderate rain. So the way that that's best described is whenever you look at the radar, mainly seeing some of those yellows. That's where we had rain rain rates that were anywhere from about a quarter to a half inch per hour. It's amazing when you look at the radar how dry it is off towards the west, but we're heading east because that's where the main axis of all that moisture is. A low pressure system is going to rotate counterclockwise. So this is getting a little bit too fancy. It's like a classic mid-latitude cyclone. So that's where you have the low attached to a cold front and a warm front. It has that similar feature where you just see all of that conveyor belt of moisture and rain through Florence along 95. So that bodes really well for our area. I would say the only one that might be just on the cusp of that is going to be Chesterfield County. Now we're going to continue heading further off towards the east, close to Wadesboro. We're about 17 miles away from there, continuing to look at some of this heavier rain. Now, as Brad said, I think it's going to be really on and off, but that flooding potential has really taken a big step back. But one thing we have to remember is whenever it rains, it usually correlates to more traffic accidents. So earlier, as we first drove into Monroe, we did see this one accident. The fire engine and ambulance was arriving right when we got on scene. It was at an intersection. It was not definitely clarified that it did come from the weather, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more of those spin-ups. But luckily, a lot of that rain is a lot lighter. Even right in front of us, it's not as bad as it once was. So the timing and the features of this system moving so fast definitely saved us as far as that flooding potential goes. So as far as the flash flood watch goes, Brad, I think, put it perfectly. I think it's still going to be in effect through this evening because even on the backside where it's a little bit drier, there might be a chance for a few embedded showers that could be a little bit heavier at times, but we are lucky this moves so quickly. So instead of getting that 3 to 6 inches, we're below 3 inches. So likely not record breaking, but certainly not a pretty day. I'm meteorologist Chris Mulcahy from the Chevy Storm Tracker.
All right, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was curious to ask you what the traffic looked like. It looks like you guys are moving at a pretty good clip, and for this time of day with rain, it looks pretty good out there.
Yeah, all is well, Fred. I'm happy to say that. And close to the Charlotte area, we can't report on that, but still take it easy. There's still a lot of significant ponding from everything that we had a little bit earlier on in the day.
All right, you and your crew be safe out there, Chris. Thank you. I want to check back in with our chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich. Brad, you said that this system actually moved quicker.
Yeah.
The danger that we all worry about when we hear about hurricanes is how quickly, or how slowly, rather, those things are going to stick around because it just pours a bunch of moisture.
Yeah, you think
onto
about
us.
Florence 2 years ago, basically this week, where we had a storm that sat over us for 2 or 3 days,
Yeah.
dumped 30 inches of rain. This system moving at really a very quick pace is really pushing that rain out of here. Now, that severe weather threat, where Chris is heading, is an area also we're watching for isolated tornadoes. Tornado watch is up for Chesterfield County till 6 p.m. So that's still an area we're going to keep a close eye on, and that's also the area of highest flood threat as well. When you look at the radar, the area there south and east of Charlotte, that's the area, that band, look at that, extends from basically almost to Raleigh now back to Charleston. And I want to widen this out because you can see the spin associated with the remnants of what was Sally. It's actually not even being tracked by the Hurricane Center anymore. It's just a remnant low. It's right there, and it doesn't look like a lot. And what Chris was referring to is that dry slot. Dry air sometimes wraps around and starts breaking up the rain here. So this axis of moisture off to the east is the one that's producing not only the heaviest rain, but the biggest risk of flash flooding. So heads up in Rockingham, Cheraw, Chesterfield, Wadesboro. Not only do you have a flood threat, but there is a small potential for an isolated tornado. Now back through the foothills, we still have some heavy rain that's going to sit there over the Hickory area. That's going to rotate through later this evening. But look at some of these rainfall rates, and also a severe thunderstorm warning down there now for Sumter County. Those are areas, if you're traveling between here and the beach, could be a rough go going through that band. Now, let me show you the futurecast again. I was showing you this earlier, and I'll slowly advance this and show you how the heaviest bands start to shift out. So 7 o'clock, notice we still have some showers around, but they're really isolated. As we get past midnight, that looks to be the cold front trying to sweep in from the north and west. That front should sweep through, and I really think Friday is going to end up being a pretty nice day with just some morning clouds and turning clear in the afternoon. As we go into the weekend, notice no rain for Saturday, no rain on Sunday, and those temperatures are going to be gorgeous. Now, through the evening hours, our highest rain chances are pretty much between now and about 9 p.m. That's when that second band tries to move through the area. But again, overall, the flood threat is way, way down. Looking at some of the totals here in the Charlotte area so far today, generally in Mecklenburg County, anywhere from about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain seems to be the max. And again, we can handle it. The highest rainfall that we've had all year in a single day has been about 3 inches. That was back in February, Fred. So this is one of the wettest days we've seen, but because it was spread out over such a long period of time, and it's been dry for the last 7 to 10 days, we actually are doing pretty good as far as the flood potential.
All right, very good. We know you'll keep us posted on this. And make sure to download the WCNC Charlotte weather app. You will be able to get the first warn forecast straight to your fingertips. As the rain continues to fall, you can share photos of what it looks like in your neighborhood using the Near Me feature on the WCNC Charlotte News app. It's on the bottom right of the screen. Easy to share your photos of the flooding, storm damage, or any other breaking news you might see. You can also see what your neighbors are posting. Thank you for joining us here on WCNC.com. Make sure to tune back in at 5 p.m. on WCNC Charlotte for the latest forecast.
That's right. The damage we are seeing across all social media this morning, just devastating. Take a look. This is 3 Mile Bridge down in Pensacola, and you can see there in the middle, a big chunk of it appears to be missing. Heavy rain causing so many problems for folks across the Gulf Coast. We're also seeing lots of pictures like these showing people's backyards